First of all, though, an opportunity to help. And we do that on this show. It's become something of a bit of a black belt specialism in things that we do, is introducing you to organisations that need a little bit of help to see if you can help them out. And this is lovely. In fact, it was a lady called Di, I believe, who dropped us a line and said, can you help volunteer friends? And of course we can. They're in desperate need of drivers to help transport people around Nuneaton and Bedworth to help combat isolation. To tell us a little bit more about the organisation and how you can help, we're joined now by Mannie Kelsey, who's the centre manager, and Joyce Beasley, who is a driver. Good morning to you both. So tell me a little bit, Mannie, about Volunteer Friends, because you've been around for a while, but you've just recently had a name change, haven't you?
Yes, we changed our name middle of last year.
What were you before?
We used to be called Volunteer Centre Nuneaton and Bedworth.
Yeah.
And the reason for our name change was because we no longer do the brokerage work that we used to do as a volunteer centre. So we used to place volunteers in organisations. We no longer have the funding for that, so we saw last year as an opportunity to rebrand ourselves, change the direction slightly, and focus on sort of something different that we wanted to do. We want to help people live an independent life, bring people together, build friendships, so people aren't lonely. There's a lot of lonely people out there.
No, they're really, it's the epidemic, isn't it? We talk all the time about ticking time bombs of diabetes, and people are worried about cancer and things like that, when actually it seems like the biggest epidemic we're facing in the 21st century is loneliness and isolation.
Yes.
So that's what you're doing then, trying to beat that. How do you try and do that?
So we run various projects in the organisation. We take people shopping on a weekly basis. We take people on social trips so they can go out and get their hair done, meet a friend. These people sometimes don't see anybody all week, and we just like to get them out meeting other people. When they do their shopping at the local supermarket, they have a cup of tea and a natter. We take people to garden centres, to take them to the pub and have a nice pub lunch and a couple of drinks with their friends. So we like to bring people together and basically get them out of their own homes.
Now, this is a lifeline to so many people. It's extraordinary, but you need sort of manpower, don't you, to get the people from A to B?
Yes, absolutely. Every single project we run, we need volunteers. The volunteers are the people that actually, they're the life behind the project, really. We just oversee it and make sure it all runs hunky-dory. But people like Joyce, they are, the people that are out there day in, day out, picking people up, helping them. They're brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant what they do.
This is nice, Joyce. You're brilliant. How's that feel?
Very good.
Excellent. So, Joyce, how long have you been volunteering?
14 years.
OK, so you're still relatively new and getting used to things after just 14 years. What was it that made you start?
Well, it was a sad story, really, because I lost my youngest son to cancer when he was 42.
I'm sorry.
And it was very depressing and sad time. And after a little while, you say to yourself, you've got to pull yourself together and get out and do something. So I thought about volunteering. So when I went for an interview and they saw I liked driving, tick, tick, that was it. In fact, quite a few other drivers, if they've lost a partner and get depressed and they hear about us getting out and helping people, it's a lifesaver for us as well as the people we pick up.
Do you know, we were talking about this last week when we were hearing from another organisation, SAFA, who were looking for volunteer befrienders. And you're doing a great thing as a volunteer. You're going out there and befriending people who are isolated. But actually, you're beating your own isolation and loneliness at the same time. Yeah. So this is 100% a win-win, isn't it?
And even more for me, because I recruited my husband. We actually bought a second car so he could do it as well.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it nearly 10 years. So we've been married 61 years and we don't see each other too much.
Is that the secret to start happy,
yeah. And when
marriage?
We get home, chat about who we've met, where we've been, all the hazards and long waiting and traffic jams and all sorts of things.
I was going to say, going backwards and forwards to the hospital. The hospital is probably, and I mean no disservice to our hospitals, the least favourite place in the world, and you're doing that voluntarily.
Yeah.
So more power to your elbow. Yeah. Is it hard work?
Well, not hard physically. You need a lot of patience because sometimes they're in and out quick. That's brilliant. And if they were all like that, it'd be heaven. But sometimes, especially if we have to go to Rugby or Warwick or Birmingham, Leicester, you know, wherever the patient needs to go, you could be delayed and you can't go back home and do a double run. Like if it was local, you could go home if it was a long wait.
Yeah.
But normally an hour and a half to 2 hours we're allowed to wait to bring the patient back.
Wowzer. And yet you still choose to do this because there are two levels of driver. There's two volunteer drivers, aren't there? There's the Medicare ones who do the hospital runs, like you, Joyce, and also there's the ones that just do the social driving.
Some of the drivers will do a bit of both.
Yeah.
So some like the element of taking somebody out so they can just, you know, get out for a couple of hours on a sort of social scale and, you know, do what they want to do in town or go and get their hair done and whatnot. But also some drivers purely just want to help on the medical trips, which is absolutely fine. So it's either a bit of both, just medical, just social. It's entirely up to the driver. They can actually do as much or as little as they want. Just giving us half a day a week, you know, is a trip really for us, and it's an extra person that we can take to wherever they need to go.
Now, you said you bought another car so you could do this. What about the wear and tear on your car? Because it's a costly biz, isn't it, running a car?
Well, it doesn't bother us too much, really. It doesn't come into it. Because the pleasure that we get from it, you know, it covers it. I mean, we've both got the same type of car, so it looks a bit like a taxi rank outside our house. We've got a Berlingo, you know, with a sliding door. A bit
Do I know
taxi-looking.
the Berlingo?
Yeah.
The greatest car ever made by human hands. Yeah, man. It's 4 years next week since I sold my Berlingo, and even now I still get tearful about it. Best car in the world, aren't they?
Love them.
I'm getting another one.
And they're really suitable for what we do, because if it needs a wheelchair, you know, then you can get them in the back easily, and there's plenty of room for if they need to take somebody with them.
Yeah.
And quite often the patient would have somebody with them if they're elderly and perhaps not quite sure of what they're doing and where they're going. Somebody will go with them. Occasionally it might be a partner who's perhaps they can't leave at home. They bring them with them.
So you do. So what kind of prerequisites are there for volunteers? Do you need to go through any checks? Do you need to presumably have a car that's roadworthy, that kind of thing?
Yes, so we ask for insurance details on the car and an MOT, that the car is suitable. It doesn't have to be sort of like a four-door car, but as long as you can obviously get the passenger at the front. Not every driver carries a wheelchair, so, you know, a big boot's not necessary, but it's handy to have. We DBS check all our drivers.
You do a what, sorry?
DBS check them, so
What's that?
we run a disclosure and barring check on them.
Okay.
Just to make sure they're suitable to work with vulnerable adults, because quite a lot of the adults that we work with are vulnerable. We also ask for references, just to get a bit of background on the person, because these people are going out and picking people up from their own homes, so obviously we want to check the person out first, just to cover our own, you know.
I mean, it all does sound quite strict, but actually you need to be, don't you? And it's not that invasive a check. All of these things are done quite painlessly and quickly, and the rewards are enormous, aren't they? As we've seen from you, Joyce, because this has changed your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'd be really miserable if I had to stay at home all day.
What does it do to you? What kind of difference does it make, do you think, to you?
Well, you never know what the next day is going to bring, really. So it's interesting in that way. And you never know what you're going to come across in the traffic either.
Well, no, this is very true around
and
here.
I drive like everybody else is an idiot, because half of them are.
Well, that's also true. But presumably you've made a lot of friends along the way as well.
Yeah, well, we try not to get too personally involved, because
No,
it
of course.
can be complicated, yeah. But we do, obviously, friendly as we can, to a limit, you know. Yeah, there's, but, yeah, strangely enough, we bump into other drivers occasionally, but we don't know a lot of them because we never see each other.
No, because you're
it's
always
all
doing
by
all these
phone,
different
you know.
things.
Yeah.
But what's great is that it's, you know, changed your life, got you out of yourself after the sad death of your son, and also helped your husband too.
Yeah,
so this really
definitely.
does show that it makes a massive difference to yourself and also to other people. So presumably drop you a line if people are interested in volunteering.
Absolutely. We've got a website, Volunteer Friends, so it's www.volunteerfriends.org.uk. Give us a call in the office. It's all very, you know, informal. Just have a chat with us, see if it's something that you'd like to do.
Well, if it is something you'd like to do, you know the drill. The best thing to do is drop us a line and we will happily put you in touch with Volunteer Friends in Nuneaton. And better, call us 0345 900 5200. That's 0345 900 5200. And we'll we'll put you in touch with Mannie and the team. And you never know, you could be the next Joyce. What's your husband called?
George.
Joyce and George, volunteers supreme, and you are blessed be to have your Citroen Berlingo's at hand, because they are the trusty steeds of the road. Thank you very much indeed to Mannie and Joyce for coming in to join us today.